All righty. Hello, everyone. Welcome to your Southpark Toastmaster meeting here on August 22nd. I am so excited that we are killing the hybrid game. Thank you so much to Valencia and Jamil and Debbie for just getting this all started for us, guys. Y'all are wonderful. I know it takes a little bit more of an effort to show up in person. So thank you guys for doing that for us. I think this is a wonderful addition to our club, and I know it feels so good to be back in human contact, in human form. So Naga, if you don't mind, would you mind just telling us how you learned about us? We love to start our meetings by just welcoming our guests in.
Hi. So I was actually one of my friend. He suggested this link and he asked me to join so that it just basically gives me a good idea some topics of talking and other things. So that was one of the things that they asked me to. So I said I'll at least enroll. So that's how I'm here. Yeah.
That's great. Is your friend a Toastmaster? Is he in a club?
He's not in a club, but he also goes to some other club like this.
Oh, okay. Very good. Well, great. Well, we're so happy to have you. You feel free to enjoy the show and participate as much or as little as you feel comfortable.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, as always, we will get started by introducing our roles, but I just wanted to offer a few announcements. So I have to leave the meeting a little bit early because I have a speaking engagement midway through our meeting today. So I'm going to pop off and go and do what I do best. And after all this practice with you guys and give a presentation. So I'm going to switch over, but I just wanted to see, I know it's kind of early in the game, but can I have somebody volunteer for Toastmaster for our next meeting so we can just get that ready? So Toastmaster for next meeting, who would like to do it? Actually, you know what? Let's see. I wonder, I might be out of town again, guys. I'm so sorry for being in and out so much.
Mary, I'll do it.
Debbie?
I will do it.
Debbie, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, fabulous, Debbie. All right, I'm going to put you in the agenda as our Toastmaster so we can just pick a theme a little early on and we can kind of just dig into that, theming everything. That'll be fun. Okay, wonderful. Without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and turn this over to our Toastmaster of the day, Jamil Massey, who will introduce our roles and let us know how this meeting goes. Yay, Jamil.
Thank you, Madam President, and welcome again. As she said, we're happy to be here, both in person and virtual. We are going to go ahead and roll right along with our meeting, and we're going to introduce some of the roles for today. The first role I'd like to introduce is our timer for the day. Who's our timer? What did our timer do? Our timer is Dr. Alisan Crump. Dr. Alisan, can you give us a brief summary of what the timer's role is?
I am so sorry. My husband had to have emergency surgery. I am not in position to be the timer today. I am at the hospital with them. I am so sorry.
Not a problem. We got it. I can do the timer role as well. That's easy enough. So the timer's role is to keep track of time for our prepared speeches that are normally 5 to 7 minutes. Let's see if anybody else is different from that. Looks to be 5 to 7 minutes for each one of them. So what will happen is I will have to join from my computer and then show the background for a time. At 5 minutes, I'll show the background. It'll be green, so you'll know you've met your 5 minutes. You can keep going. You don't have to stop right at green, but you have the option to if you'd like. At yellow, at 6 minutes, I will turn it yellow, the background yellow, and then at 7 minutes, I'll turn it red. So that means go ahead and wrap it up. That's for the prepared speeches. Now for the table topics, the impromptu speaking, the extemporaneous speaking, it is 1 to 2 minutes. And I will flash the green background at 1, and at 1 minute and 30 seconds, I'll turn it yellow, and at 2 minutes, I'll turn it red. That means wrap it up. So the point of the timer is to keep us on time. Nobody likes somebody who just takes over and bogarts all the time for the meeting. So that's the role for timer. All right. Pass back to myself, virtual microphone. The next role is going to be our grammarian. Who's our grammarian? I'm gonna look on this paper. Got it right here in front of my hand. I don't see a grammarian. Do we have a grammarian? We don't have a grammarian.
Jamil, it's
Yes.
me. And you did a
Hey.
fabulous job introducing the timer, but if it's easier for you, I can do timer too if you want.
You can do timer and grammarian? Go ahead, have
If
at
it
it.
helps, if it helps.
Dual duty, dual
Okay.
duty.
So the role of the
You can-
timer, no, I'm only joking. So the role of the grammarian is to keep everybody in check, look out for ums, ahs, filler words in our conversation to make us better speakers. Also introducing the word of the day, which today is rejuvenate or rejuvenation. I will put it in the chat, but it basically means new life, new energy. Using it in a sentence, you can simply say, I feel rejuvenated. Several things make us all feel rejuvenated. So that is the word of the day. Use it, inject it into your conversation as much as possible. And I will keep the time. Back to you, Jamil.
Great, thank you so much for that
Welcome.
explanation. And when people just jump in and volunteer, I personally feel rejuvenated because people are able to come together and help us to have great teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work. Okay, the next of our role is our invocation. Actually, I'll do our general evaluator. I just did three. So if you want to count all three, to go ahead and throw it in, John. I need to work on some speaking as well. I'm going to introduce our general evaluator. She's here in person, so let's give a warm welcome to Debbie Tertinger. Tell us about this role, Debbie.
Thank you very much. And the role of the general evaluator is the person that coordinates the conclusion of the meeting. And I will call on the evaluators for each of our speeches. I will call on the grammarian to give a report, the timer to give a report, and then I will provide some concluding remarks about how our meeting went well and maybe ways that we could improve it as well. So it's really concluding and calling on all the people to give their reports. Thank you.
Great. Awesome. Thank you for that, Debbie. All right, now we will do our invocation that I was about to jump ahead of our general evaluator. Apologize about that, but I'm ready now. I'm going to give our invocation. I heard this quote here recently. The invocation is kind of, we can either do a joke or something that's kind of like a motivational, inspirational segment, if you will. So I heard this from a guy named David Shands. He is, what does he do? He's an entrepreneur. That's not a word. Entrepreneur, okay, that means he owns business. The serial entrepreneur means he owns more than one. And he tells his story about how he tried to go to college, he flunked out, started out in the Cheesecake Factory, knew he wanted more than that, so he started with t-shirts. That's how he first started out with his entrepreneur, selling t-shirts out of the trunk of his car. Then he went from t-shirts out of trunk of his car, and then he kind of scaled it and grew it. And so now he has like this large YouTube channel and brings different entrepreneurs and speaking and all kind of stuff. So he had this quote that says, "You will never overcome what you do not confront. You'll never overcome what you do not confront." It seems so simple, but it's very true. Some of the most powerful things in life are simple. Simple to understand it, but to apply it and do it, it's a little bit more difficult. You'll never overcome what you do not confront. So let's confront what we need to confront. It could be small things, it could be bigger things. And once you confront these things, you'll feel even more rejuvenated. Rejuvenated. That's the word of the day, rejuvenate. Okay. Moving right along. Thank you. Good up here. Don't clap too much. I feel, yesterday was Sunday. I feel like a pastor up here. Okay. Let's see. Is Dr. Alexander back? She said, hold on a second, she'll be right back. If not, we can move into our we can just stay flexible today. And move
I'm
into
here, I'm here.
We're here. Okay, we're ready to go ahead and do the speech. We good?
Yep, we good.
Okay, good deal. Our first speaker is no stranger to the microphone, whether it's virtual or in person. I know she's ready. She's ready all the time. So we're going to give a warm welcome. Her speech, let me give her credit for. Her speech is Innovative Planning, Level 2, Connect with your audience. Connect with your audience. Okay. And it starts out, I was in a verbal abusive relationship for over 50 years. The rest of it's cut off, so I can't read the whole thing, but that already grabs our attention. So without any further ado, let's give it up for Dr. Alice Ann Crump.
Thank you so much, Mr. Toastmaster. I was in a verbal abusive relationship for over 50 years. Did I say that out loud? I did. All my life, I've heard, you're never gonna beat anything. You're never gonna amount to anything. You're never gonna make it. You don't matter. All my life. And I had not realized that verbal abuse is a form of communication, negative communication. And it chipped away at my self-esteem all my life. When I was a child, you're never gonna do it. Nothing I did was ever good enough. I was an honor roll student all my life, but it was never good enough. I have 3 bachelors, a master's, and a doctorate, and it's still not good enough. When I got married, you ain't gonna be no type of wife. For one, I got married when I was 20. So that's too young. Your life is gonna be ruined anyway. Your marriage is gonna be a failure. Who get married at 20 and stay married? I've been married for almost 40 years. When I had children, terrible mother. Look at your children, misbehave. You call yourself a preacher. You know the preacher's kids is the worst kid there is. Them your children. They're horrible. You're a terrible mother. Later on, I developed this concept that I didn't matter. Every time something bad happened to me, it was because I didn't matter. It's because I wasn't good enough. But the strangest thing about this whole scenario is who I was in this relationship with. I was in the relationship with myself. I was the one saying these horrible things to me and never realized I was in a verbal abusive relationship. I needed to change the dynamic. I needed to say something different. When I joined Toastmasters to find my inner voice. You know, the one that have positive affirmation, the one that says, you can do it. You know, where she was. Never heard those words until recently. I began to look at the relationship I was having, understanding my communication style, skill, leadership skill, all because I belong to a Toastmasters club. Not just doing the project, but actually looking at them as they relate to me. And I discovered I was in an abusive relationship with myself. I needed to change the dynamics of those words. I needed to say something positive. Forget all the filler words. I needed to change the negative words. I needed to change the words that I was speaking to myself. You know, when we look in the mirror, I'm fat, ugly, or whatever it is that we say to ourselves that's negative. If you're in an abusive relationship, I want to suggest strongly, get out of that relationship. It does no good to be in that type of relationship. Come out of it. Yes, I was embarrassed to say that I was in this relationship until I realized I needed to confront it. I needed to deal with it. And now that I am dealing with it, I can say I was in a verbal, abusive relationship. No longer. I wouldn't let anybody else talk to me like that. Why am I talking to myself like that? I'm a great mother, a great grandmother. I am wonderful. I am an outstanding wife, very supportive, loving. I'm there always. And yes, I am the Reverend Alice Ann Lewis Crump with a doctorate degree, honorary and earned, and a master's in Christian education, a doctorate in theology. Who? That's me. I have a lot to be proud of, and nothing you can say that will change that or make me feel inferior, like I don't matter, because I got out of that verbal abusive relationship. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Great job. You clapped all the way till, oh, I love it. I miss it. Great job with that, Dr. Allison Crump. Always so inspirational. And what a great twist that she put on that story. Being in the verbally abusive relationship, come to find out she was the abuser. And many times, the abuser too, for myself. All right, we're gonna move on to our second prepared speech for today. Our second prepared speech is going to be given by Valencia Timms. Valencia Timms is doing her speech from Strategic Relationships. It's going to be a level 1 speech, writing a speech with purpose. Not just writing a speech with purpose. Her speech title is called Diversity, Equity, Action Team. Diversity, Equity, Action Team. Let's give a warm welcome for Valencia Timms.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. I am so thankful and privileged to come and speak to you today about my experience with the Diversity, Equity, Action Team. What is that? What is a Diversity, Equity, Action Team? Let me give you a little background. So, kind of a buzzword right now, we always hear these buzzwords, is DEI, and DEI stands for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Lots of companies are pushing for this, and they're trying to get people to take training to be more inclusive, learn how to be more equitable, be more diverse. I worked in St. Louis, Missouri at Washington University for 15 years. I worked in technology, and I was the first African-American woman in my department. In 2014, after Ferguson happened, we became more inclusive and diverse in technology and started hiring more people. And there was a push for that training, diversity training, which looked like you go to one session, you learn about diversity, then you go back to work and apply these things. How do you apply these things? What are the tools that you have? We weren't really given a lot of tools, but we were expected to know how to be inclusive and equitable in our work. And it didn't happen. Fast forward in 2019, I started working at Mecklenburg County here in Charlotte. I moved to Charlotte in 2018. And I could not believe how diverse Mecklenburg County was in technology. For the first time, I met what I thought was a unicorn. Someone on the leadership team who's an African-American woman, never saw that before in technology, was so enthused about it. I was given the opportunity to work on a team of 10 in the Diversity, Equity, Action Team. I didn't want to be the leader, just wanted to help, give input, but the leader ended up stepping down and the role fell on my shoulders because I wanted the initiative to move forward. in our department, which was very diverse, people from all over the world, we still have some gaps. We have some things that we could learn. One of those things was, if you were a woman in technology, you probably didn't make as much as a man in technology with the same role. Another thing is, if you were a minority, you probably did not make the same amount of money. Maybe your chances to being promoted weren't available to you. All of these things we were researching, we had all the data. And the team presented the data to leadership. Leadership said, are you sure this data's right? Where'd you get it? HR. Well, this doesn't look right. We don't know about it. And a lot of my teammates were discouraged. So I had an idea, because I was in innovative planning in my pathway in Toastmasters. My level 5 project was going to be to put on an expo for our diversity team. Expo. What is that? So some of our leaders were saying, oh, I will contribute to this and I will help out. Other leaders said, whatever you need, we're there for you. Some leaders were like, what is that? I don't know. How do we contribute to this? Do we need that? And some of my teammates were discouraged. But I said, we have enough to make this expo a success. We can put this together. And what this was showcasing the talent that we had in our technology team in their own voice. Now, how many of you have heard of death by PowerPoint? Everybody, right? Our CIO did presentations quarterly that had scrolling slides. Have you ever seen a scrolling slide? No, you've never seen it. But this is what we had in our department, because there was so much content on each slide that you had to zoom in to see what all was there. All the data, all the text. And this is how he gave credit to staff about what we'd accomplished. But you never heard people speak about their work in their own voice. All of my teammates had value. They came from different backgrounds, different cultures, different ages, different levels of experience. And to me, they were the best people to talk about it. So this expo was to showcase the work they did. Let's show how diverse we are. Let's show how equitable we can be. Let's show how inclusive we can be in this expo. We met with leadership, presented it to them. Again, we had the naysayers and we had our supporters, and the team was discouraged. But we pushed forward. Leadership said, push back the date. Let's do it another time. We said, nope, we're gonna do it this day. It's gonna be fine. We'll be on Teams. And 150 people showed up on Teams for this expo. 4 teams out of our whole department were represented out of 7. We had 3 teams that didn't quite know what to do. Those were also the teams that were struggling with their diversity and inclusion a bit, but that's okay. We set an example, and I was very proud of the work that we did. So to tell you why it's important to have DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, why you have to have the action and put a team together is because you can have your workshop that tells you all about diversity. What are the tools? You have to have action and a team in order to put those things in place. And I am so grateful that Mecklenburg County had that, because we were successful in this expo at showing the value and talent that diversity brought to our department. Thank you so much, fellow Toastmasters.
Great job, and what a great topic. Diversity, equity, and action team. If you don't put it into action, it's not going anywhere. Don't put anything. That's what anything, especially these days while we have appetite for diversity, bringing people together. All right, our third speaker is going to be Dr. Eric Laxer, and his speech is going to be from Presentation Mastery, Level 3 speech, deliver social speech. Now, this, okay, social speech for our timer, John, this time needs to be 3 to 4 minutes. No,
Actually, it should be, it's gonna be longer. So we could do 5 to 7 minutes.
5 to 7 minutes. Okay, disregard what I said. 5 to 7 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes. Okay. And the speech is going to be a toast. Man, who doesn't like a great toast? Bring them to the virtual stage and in person.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. So this is actually a father of the bride speech for my daughter's wedding. So I'm Eric Laxner, and I'd like to thank and acknowledge the other people who have been instrumental in putting this together, specifically my darling wife, Judy, and I'm referring to the wedding, and the groom, Adam's parents, Michael and Lori. And I'd also like to recognize and welcome all of our guests, including many people who are here, not only from across the country, but we also family and friends who have come here to join us from Canada. We are incredibly honored and appreciative of all of your presence here. And of course, during happy occasions, it's also important for us to remember and acknowledge other family members who couldn't be here with us this evening, but who are here in spirit and we hold close and dear in our hearts. And of course, I'm talking about Ruby, Caitlin's King Charles Cavalier, and Carl, Shin Anthonyma's Bunny Rabbit, who couldn't make it tonight, but I have assured them that they will get leftovers from this evening. Michael and Lori, it's been a pleasure getting to know you through your son. If there was some app out there that allowed potential in-laws to meet each other, like app.com or Tinder or Grindr or whatever's out there these days, then I know that you guys would have ended up at the top of our list, and we look forward to many other happy occasions together. To my amazing wife, Judy, this evening could not have happened without you. Not only are you so smart and beautiful, but thank God you are the best multitasker I have ever met. And if multitasking was an Olympic event, I know you would win the gold. Caitlin, it's been amazing watching you grow and develop. You showed up in our lives January 30th, 1992. It was a Thursday afternoon. It was a cold, wintry day in Montreal. And around 5 o'clock, I was in the residence lounge doing sign out with my colleagues when I received a message. And the message said, call your wife, important. I knew immediately that either Wayne Gretzky had just gotten traded to the Montreal Canadiens or Mom was in labor. And of course, she was in labor. When I got off the phone, I had this excited look on my face. And Gary Schmidt, who was my colleague who was supposed to take call for me that weekend if Mom went into labor, and my eyes met together. And Gary is one of those kind, understanding, and close friends. And when he looked at me, all he could say was, oh crap. Well, I made it home, we got Mom to the hospital, and shortly after we arrived, so did you. And it has been an amazing experience watching you develop into this intelligent, beautiful, and strong young woman, and today, beautiful bride. Now, we remember when you first introduced Adam to us, it was very apparent quickly that Adam was a kind and warm person, somebody whose heart knows only friendship, really a perfect match for you. And Adam, I remember many firsts with you. The first time we met you, the first time we went out for dinner, the first time we went on vacation together, but none of those really compare to this evening when for the first time Judy and I can refer to you as our son-in-law. Now, I know you know Caitlin very well, but there are a few things about her that you're not aware of that I'm going to share with you tonight. And the most important thing to tell you is that Caitlin comes with instructions. She's sort of like a chia plant. So I'm going to give you a few of those tonight. Instruction number 1, make sure Caitlin is always well fed. The good news is Caitlin will eat just about anything. We knew this from a very young age. When she was about 3 years old, we were sitting in the kitchen and her brother Shin was eating something that wasn't so good. Caitlin came walking into the kitchen wearing her Little Mermaid dress and her white cowboy boots and was strutting across the floor singing some song to herself when her brother pulled her over and said, "Caitlin, this is disgusting. Did you put this in the garbage?" Caitlin took it in her hand, smelled it, and said to her brother, "Can I eat it?" and proceeded to do so. To this day, we have no idea what that was. Instruction number 2, make sure Caitlin gets a lot of sleep. Now, when Caitlin was younger, she would sleep almost anywhere, except in a house where Judy, her mom, wasn't. She would go to one of her friends for a sleepover and be very excited. But I would get a call around 10 o'clock that night because Caitlin had a tummy ache. And I would drive over and I'd pick her up and I'd bring her home. She seemed to eventually outgrow that because she went away to college and lived in Ohio for a few years. But as you know, for the past 14 months, she's been living back at home, again in the same house as her mom. So I'm a little concerned that she may have a relapse. So Adam, if 10 o'clock one night, Caitlin says to you, "Adam, I have a tummy ache. I want you to call me and I will come over and pick her up and take her home." Instruction number 3, make sure Caitlin gets a lot of love. Now, I was going to say, just give her as much love as you give Ruby, but I don't know if that's possible. But the good news is the love you give to Caitlin, you will get back 1,000-fold. Let me conclude with this. Life is a big adventure. It's filled with happy and joyful moments. It's filled with moments we just want to lock in time and hold on to forever. And it's also filled with bumps in the road. When we were walking through the home we recently purchased, the previous owners had a sign above one of their doorways that caught my attention. It read, "It doesn't matter where life takes you. What matters is who you have beside you." I think that simple sentence sums up marriage in maybe the most complete way. Because what matters is who you have beside you to celebrate those moments of joy and happiness, and who you have beside you to take those moments that you want to hold on to and never forget, and who you have beside you when life gets a little tough and you just got to reach out and feel that that person's hand is right there. So please, everyone, rise, raise your glasses, and join me. To Caitlin and Adam, I wish you many moments of joy and happiness, many moments you want to take in time and hold on to forever, and that you experience each of those moments with each other by your side. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Man, well done. That might have been the best wedding speech that I've ever heard, especially with a lot of times people try to do it off the cuff and they're just, well, I didn't prepare anything, and it sounds like they didn't prepare anything. But that was very well done.
That is.
Hopefully you can articulate it when you're actually looking at your daughter. That's gonna be a different challenge. And I know I got 2 little girls and I was like, oh, dude, I'm starting to tear up here in the Toastmaster meeting, and I got, years to go. Anyway, I digress. Let's move on to our next portion of the meeting. We have 3 great prepared speeches. Thank you for our speakers. I'm going to turn it over to our first time table topics master. This is going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Miss Jennifer Adidarko. Jennifer, take it away.
Well, I feel rejuvenated because this is my first time. Okay, today is TM The View. I need 4 volunteers to join me at the view table. May I have 4 volunteers?
I'll do one.
Okay, Jamil. Anyone else?
I can do one.
Here. Who? Okay, I have Jamil and Valencia.
Eric did. I didn't.
Oh, Eric
Yes.
and John. Oh, John, did you volunteer? I'm sorry.
He was voluntold.
Oh, okay, okay,
Nancy and I.
well, when it is obvious that goal cannot be reached, the goal that cannot be reached, don't adjust the goal, adjust the action. The first question is, what action can one adopt to achieve their goals in Toastmasters? Jamil.
Oh, what a great question. What action can one adopt to achieve their goal in Toastmasters? Well, number one, I'm going to say, set the goal. I don't want to assume that whether it's a new person or whether it's someone who's been around for a while and haven't really gotten traction, or maybe they've lost focus, whatever it is, you have to set and establish that goal. There's a great book that has this writing that says, write the vision and make it plain. You have to write that vision, you have to write that goal clear and concise so you know where you're going. So if it's completing level 1, if it's completing level 5, if it's doing your icebreaker speech, whatever that goal is, whether it's leading a project, if it's becoming table topics master, know clearly where you're trying to go. Once you know where you're trying to go, you have several different aspects on how you can achieve that goal. You can talk to someone who's done it before. You attend the meetings. You also see how it's being done. You see a few repetitions. You can take notes and see how it's being done. And Toastmasters is such a supportive environment. Most members are very willing to help, especially when somebody just reaches out and asks, and they're happy to share their knowledge. So number 1, set the goal. Number 2, attend the meetings and see it being done. Number 3, ask somebody for help. That's how I would say to accomplish that goal. Back to you, Madam Tabletop Master.
Thank you. Number 2, for real leadership, it's not the title that is important. It is what you do that matters. Valencia, what are some of the examples of a good leadership?
Thank you so much, Madam Table Topics Master, for this question. What are some examples of good leadership? Question. I say, I am hard-headed and I don't follow easily, but I think that the mark of a good leader is someone who is willing to listen to those who follow. If you lead blindly, we could all end up in a ditch, unfortunately, or in peril in other ways. You have to hear what's happening with the people who are following you, your team, what's important to them. If we don't achieve any of their goals this year, was it because you weren't listening? Was it because you had your own goals in mind and that was all that was important? There's too many leaders that are like that. There's also leaders who are subject matter experts, but they don't know how to lead a team. You have to think about the people. That is the mark of a good leader. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Valencia. Number 3, on social media. Is social media over? I'm sorry, let me call Eric.
Yes.
Okay. Number 3 question is social media overall good or bad for our society?
Thank you for that question, Madam Table Topics Master, which was, is social media overall good or overall bad for our society? I think it's just like anything else in the world and has to be viewed that way, you know, in the sense that it's a tool. As we know, tools can be used for good and tools can be used for bad. And a simple example of that is your car. You know, for most of us in the world, our vehicle is an important tool that allows us to enjoy many of the conveniences in life, go shopping, go to social activities, go on vacation. But very sadly, and we see this on the news occasionally, some people can use a simple thing as a vehicle as something to be used for violence. And this is tragic. And so I would say that the same benefits and risks are really part of social media. Social media is wonderful in many, many ways. It opens up tremendous opportunities for people like us at our Toastmasters meeting, but also from people all around the world in terms of education and connecting and learning about cultures and others that we normally never would have learned about. But there are dangers in social media. And for anyone who has kids, we're immediately aware of those many dangers. And so just like anything that you use as a tool, you have to be able to use it in a good way. And you also have to recognize any dangers and try to mitigate ways to minimize those types of dangers. So thank you for that excellent question, Madam Table Topics Minister.
Thank you, Eric. John, number 4. If you can have one superpower, what would that be?
Thank you so much for the question, Jennifer. One superpower. The power to be able to get home at the snap of my fingers. Remember Star Trek, the teleport? That. It is such a pain. Booking flights, going to the airport, getting to the airport, etc., getting a bag of pretzels with 2 pretzels in it. And it's beautiful when you get there on the other side, but makes you so tired that you can't really enjoy the trip for a few days. So if I had to say, that would be it. I've got family here right now, and they had an ordeal getting here. So I'd say back and forth, just me and my family, and for all of our Toastmasters, of course. If we could just have that capability, that would be terrific. Thank you so much. Back to you, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I hope you join me again on TM The View.
So creative, TM you, especially for a first-time table topics master. You definitely continue to show your creativity and your courage. Thank you for that, Jennifer. All right, I'm going to turn the second portion of the meeting over to our general evaluator. Our general evaluator is Debbie Tertinger. So give Debbie a warm welcome as she comes in.
Thank you very much. As general evaluator, we begin by discussing our speeches, and we have each evaluator give a 2 to 3 minute summary and positive feedback, areas for improvement on each speech that they listen to. Now, let's see, Dr. Crump was our first speaker, and I was her evaluator, so I'm gonna lead right into that. And in case she has to go and maybe spend time with her husband. So I will go ahead and begin there. So Dr. Crump's purpose of her speech was to connect with the audience. And she was supposed to speak 5 to 7 minutes. And as I looked at her title was like totally attention getting. And it was about an abusive relationship that she'd had for 50 years. And I'm sure a lot of us kind of went, horrors, how did this happen? And who is it? And what are you going to tell us today? So her title was very attention getting. And I knew that the speech would be personal. I feel like Dr. Crump totally connects with her audience in most of her speeches. She as I was looking at her on Zoom, I noticed she had a nice graphic behind her face, and it said, I believe it said, wait. I could not read the fine print underneath it, but I'm sure it was something meaningful that she had there. As she spoke, as she always does, she uses gestures, and she often will put her hand on her heart. She will use her hands. And for me, that sends this message of she's very authentic. And she really cares and means what she says. As she began to talk about the abusive relationship, she gave examples of, oh my gosh, her all the choices she made in her life, someone seemed to question. That she felt was very difficult to listen to that, as she felt she was doing the best thing that she could. She gave, as she gave those examples, I think all of us felt for her and had this emotion of, well, that explains the abusive relationship. Then, however, she threw in an awesome surprise. And as Jamil said earlier, it was a twist. It was a surprise. And who doesn't love that kind of surprise when you're listening to someone or giving a speech for that matter? And she revealed to us that her relationship was with herself. Who could not relate to that, where you have said things to yourself that were not beneficial to you? You questioned yourself, you questioned your actions, your decisions that you made. And she realized that she needed to get out of that relationship, which she did. She shared her life journey about those messages she was giving to herself. And I think all of us could relate and also question, do we do that to ourselves? Should we consider other messages that we give to ourselves? So again, it was an awesome speech by Dr. Crump and very thought-provoking. So thank you. All right, so now we're going to go to our second speaker. And our second speaker was Valencia Timms, and she was doing a diversity equity action team speech. And Sonia Pons was evaluating her. So with that, we're going to turn it over to Sonia to evaluate Valencia's speech.
Fantastic. Family, can you hear me? Hopefully that you can. Fantastic. Valencia, when they had a song called Walk It Out, they didn't say that we could talk it out. And I tell you today, you talked it out. The purpose of your speech was to communicate a defined purpose. And today, I have to tell you, you excelled at that by introducing to our family the power of diversity, equity, and inclusion. But you put that extra cherry on top because you demonstrated how important it is to put action to those words. And even if it's a small step to begin the conversation. Now, if you guys didn't go to the international convention today, over the past couple of days, it says that we are storytellers. And Valencia emphasized her point by telling a story. But if you are on the convention site, you will see that Valencia is constantly leaving comments in something called the Inclusive Excellence Education Track. She believes in diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility in action. So let's first talk a little bit about her speech. What I love, she said, what is that? We throw acronyms around all the time, but she didn't want to leave her audience behind. And she gave the definition of what diversity, equity, inclusion is. She also told her story about how before she moved here, she was the lone chocolate chip, that's what we say back home in Alabama, in a tech team. But it didn't let her defer herself and like, oh, let me go in the shadows. She was on fire for diversity, equity, and inclusion and started her conversation. Then she moved down south. But what I loved about how she used her body language, she talked about how education without tools was nothing. And she used her hands, it's kind of like a tumbling wheel, like it's a revolving question. We're answering, yes, we want to be educated, but are we putting the tools in place, and how we're just spinning our wheels? That's what I'm looking for. I love how you use your body language. I also love how you use your body language when you stop back and said, I don't want to lead it, but you'll be a part of the team. That was fantastic. Your body language was on point today. And I loved how you researched. But you just do some random research. You use your story. And when you're on the action team, you use the research in the facility. And almost like a truck car, let me show you some receipts. And I loved how you gave them an idea of diversity, equity, inclusion. It's not about ethnicity. Not at all. You colored it. It's about ethnicity. It can be about gender. And then probably if you had the metrics in your HRIS system there, human resource information system. Maybe it was by sexual orientation. You colored what diversity, equity, inclusion looked like. It's just not about race and ethnicity. I love that. And I loved how when you wanted people to demonstrate it, you didn't lecture to them about it. You talked about, and I love this, showcase your talent in your own voice. How often are we asked to speak up and share something about ourselves? Your story today, I'm going to call it a story because that's what it was, just demonstrated when we take one step forward, how powerful we can be when we set that example. So thank you so much. I love your body language. I love how you gave us a journey, your personal journey, to teach us a lesson, to expose us, to amplify something. But if I could give you a little advice, I want to know what happened to that other 3 teams that didn't participate in the teams meeting. I wish I can get 150 people in my team's meeting. Come back and tell us, how did they change their outlook on diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility? Because I love it. And I love seeing you on the Toastmasters website, and I'm going to shout you out today. I'm logged in. So thank you so much for everything that you do. And back to our general evaluator.
Thank you so much, Sonia, for that energized evaluation. Next, we're going to go to Carla Sherry, who is going to provide an evaluation for Eric Lacker. Carla is, I believe, in the car, so she is going to report from the car.
Yes, I'm in a car going through downtown Alexandria, Virginia, so I hope I keep a signal. First of all, I want to say, I hope that we are all invited to the wedding because it sounds like you have such a together family. Your goal was to give a toast as the father of the bride. As the father of bride's Jen, you were absolutely on target. You, without saying it, I really felt how rich of an experience your whole family has with your friends. You started out by being very relatable. You welcomed everybody. You appreciated everybody. You welcomed everybody. And if I were there, I would have known that I was included in part of it because that was just the way you set it up. Very gracious. You actually used your arm movements and not only were you gracious, but your arms were open to us. So you felt like you were brought in. I thought that you added humor in it. As you told your story, you talked about Wayne Gretzky, your wife being a multitasker. Then you talked about Wayne Gretzky. You thought when you got that phone call about the baby coming, it was either Wayne Gretzky was traded or maybe your wife was in labor. And you found that out. We all had a good giggle with it. You were very passionate about everything you said. Your story was very linear, it was very clear, and it followed what was going on. Then you started talking about your daughter, Caitlin, and talked about how she was like a cheetah. And immediately, I got this vision of this little naked animal that all of a sudden grew green sprouts all over it. And I thought, well, that's kind of your baby came into the world, and then she grew into this person that had all this richness to her. These stories were good. And then you went on and you gave instructions to your future son-in-law. You talked about making sure that his wife could be not food. She needs a lot of food. She needs a lot of sleep. And we can relate to that as people. It was funny. It was personal. And everybody who knows her in the audience could understand that. You also talked about how much love, she had this endless love, and that love given. It's another quote on the sign that says, it doesn't matter where life takes you, it's who you're with that really matters, or something along that lines. Again, very relatable, very human, and just really you wrapped up the whole story by asking, but we were all raising our glasses because you gave us an instruction, you gave us all active basic classes listened together. You were very well. I really walked away from this speech thinking the wedding, I'm going to reiterate that. Thought that your love for your daughter, your love for your family, your love for your friends was very, very apparent. Your eye contact was great, your hand gestures were great, your story was very linear. If there's that I think you could work on, is you should have provided the champagne to all of us. So when we're raising that class, you're going to have a little toast with you. Thank you. It was a great speech and congratulations.
Thanks to all of our evaluators, and as part of the evaluator role, we always send a written evaluation to each of our participants. So that helps to really offer even more information than you might have today. So thanks to everyone. And now we'll go to our grammarian, and our grammarian is John. And John, if we could have your report, please.
Thank you so much, Deborah. For grammarian support today, squeaky clean. I can't remember a time that I didn't hear any ums, ahs, or anything like that, apart from me just saying them right now. So I think that is terrific improvement for all of us. I really do. If someone did catch one and I didn't, please let me know, but I did not come across any. So well done to all of us, really. Word of the day was used 5 times. 4 times by Jamil, well done. Once by Jennifer. I love the way you got those in there too. That was awesome. And once by Jennifer. So thank you so much. Great job, everybody. Again, we know about the expertise of Dr. Alassane. A lot of great techniques and gestures. Something that really stuck out to me was, did I say that out loud? You know, it just really brought it to life, and just, you're so engaging, just so engaging. The second, you know, the microphone, if you will, is passed to you, it's just automatic. You're in, you just bring us in. I don't know how you do it, but you do it. So keep up that, and then just your hand gestures and bringing your stories to life. That's just something that jumps out at me. That is all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Our timer report is also John.
Yes.
So,
John,
good job on the times today, everybody. For our speeches, Dr. Alassane came in at 4 minutes and 58 seconds. So just maybe a couple of more words would have got you there. Valencia Timms came in excellent, 6 minutes and 3 seconds. Dr. Eric Laxer, 7 minutes and 27 seconds. For our table topics, Jamil, 1 minute, 25 seconds. Valencia, 1 minute, 5 seconds. Dr. Eric, 1 minute, 37 seconds. And last but not least, Deborah for Dr. Alassane, 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Sonia for Valencia, 3 minutes, 47 seconds. Carla for Dr. Eric, 3 minutes and 4 seconds. Thank you. Back to you.
double duty. We appreciate that. All right, so now that concludes, and I would just like to offer a few comments on closing about our meeting today. I do want to say that Sarah Mary reached level 3 of her pathway, and also Sonia reached level 5. So those messages came through our reports, and they have been awarded those new titles that they have. Also, I'd like to say that we had 3 great speeches today. I think our club always shows flexibility. I think our club is really advancing with all the social networking. I was trying to Google our agenda today, and LinkedIn showed up, and YouTube showed up. So it's like, my gosh, thank you to all the people that make that happen. I think that we are definitely a flexible team, and I think if we could do anything better, just to sign up for those roles earlier on, get our theme, and that would just help a smoother transition to start. We'd have everybody in place, people would know what they were doing, and we could just move forward with our meeting. So with that, it's been a great opportunity to be a general evaluator. I think we're a great team, always getting better. We had three speeches that really helped us get to know our speakers. As always, we always learn, and it's just great to know people better. So I'm going to turn it back to Jamil. Thanks.
Thank you, Debbie, for that great overall evaluation of our meeting and also rolling into our roles. Thank you for the summary of our roles and things that we can do better. We always look to improve and get better, whether it's speaking, whether it's leadership, and our networking. We're also getting better with that. Get a chance to see people and that type of thing. So it's great. It is 1:00, so I am not going to prolong this meeting. We're going to end on as 1:01. That's too long. Thank you all for joining. We look forward to seeing you all, and y'all have a great rest of the week and remain invigorated. All right, talk to y'all later.
I feel rejuvenated from the meeting.
Oh,
Thank you,
great.
John.
It's good when you're driving.
Yeah. All right, see you.